How do I get around the menu of a PD7? Very simple. All right. So obviously you've got the screen. How you tell the difference from a PD7 and a PD0. The 7 has a screen, the 0 does not. Cool. So very quickly, obviously there's a screen. On the screen here, it's got what mode is it in presently and any other things that may be going on. I'll show you that in a minute. It's got the estimated output that the pump will do based on where the stroke is and where the up and down or the speed is. This has only really got one way of controlling this pump, which is the speed, and this will tell you what those strokes per minute are based on where your speed is, and also reflect it as a percentage. Then you've got, so that's the screen. Then you've got the menu button, cool, and then you've got the on-off button. So now, and the green light shows you that it's working and it's on. So if I press the up arrow, as it's going up, you'll see both the amount that's going up, that the pump is discharging per hour, and the strokes per minute have gone up, and so has the percentage gone up. Happy days. So let's turn it off. And then if I want to go into when I go into a menu, obviously I need to choose one of these and enter into it. So that's just manual mode. That's what that means. If I hit that, back to manual mode. Cool. Go back to the menu and we move across and we go into what's the top hat look like. That's actually pulse mode. We'll go over all those in a minute. Let's just go through the menu, back to the menu. If I go over to this guy, you're never going to go into this one predominantly, but if we enter in, I want to calibrate this pump and make sure that it gets calibrated to what it says on the label over here. So that's where you go into that guy, but you shouldn't really need to go into that one. This here is, if I press enter, this is showing you an overall amount of cycles that's gone on and strokes and estimated volume that's been put out. And if you cruise along to here and press enter, you can, if I press over here and press enter, I can reset everything back to 0. Cool. And then if I go along to that there is, it's a timer in a nutshell. And why has it got bubbles? This is basically to get rid of the air or the bubbles inside when you're using or dosing sodium hypo. What you're saying here is every 120 minutes, I want the pump to run for 20 seconds. So basically every 2 hours, make the pump go every 20 seconds. And the reason you do that is to make sure the pump stays primed and therefore the bubbles go out and don't create air locking in the back of the pump. Okay, go back to the menu. If we go over here, this guy here tells me whether I want to change the value from litres per hour to gallons per hour, ounces, or mils per hour. So obviously you've got that option. Means that what you display on the output, that's what will happen. And the last one there is just telling you the information about the pump, obviously firmware, hardware, and so forth. Happy days. So that's what's going on. Lastly, before we get into the menus, we've got two connections. This is the connection which comes with the pump. This cable, you see that? This cable comes with the pump. Don't have to pay any extra for that. It's a 5-wire cable, and this is where you do your pulse connections, which would be the blue and the white. And then the other one is for remote on-off switches, as well as pulse. So you could have a button, say, by your desk far away, press it on, and now the pump will be available to work, or press it by that button and turn it off. So you've got remote on-off and pulse input. There we go. And the other little connection over here is for a low-level switch that would go into your tank. When your tank is empty, that would make the pump stop and keep the suction line and pump primed. So when you swapped it over, you didn't have to prime it, or you had to do a lot less priming. So that's what that's for. Alrighty, let's go into the menu. So I've already shown you the on-off, but really you're going to live in here, either this one or this one. And if you've got hypo, once you've set that up, you're going to set and forget. So you're going to live here or here. So obviously, let's go over, press enter. And now I'm inside the menu here. We're going to look at, there are predominantly 1 value, 2, 3, and 4 values where you can alter things. And that's the accept or accept key, as in keep these values. So we've got 1 pulse equals 1 mil. That's what's happening at the moment. The maximum strokes per minute can be 100 strokes per minute. And this here is called a debounce or contact time. And just to explain that, if I've got my fingers and I go like this, that there, I'm saying, is that a contact time? Or is that length of time a contact time? And you can adjust that by changing, if I go here, by changing the amount of milliseconds. To be honest, you're going to leave it alone. So if I just accept what we've got at the moment, I'll show you. Press enter. So I've accepted it. And you can see everything's ready to go. I've got my cable here, it's connected, and I'm going to cross the two wires together, but nothing happens. Why does nothing happen? You can see there's stuff going on there, but the pump's not working. And that's because we haven't pressed the on button. So if I press the on button, which is green, I'm going to leave that there. Right. And I'm going to get these two guys, and we're going to just cross them together. There we go. I'll do it again. So what you're getting is how many pulses or things do I need to do in order to get that 1 mil. That's because I've touched it multiple times. It's a bit difficult with one hand just to go. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get it. There we go. Anyway, when I do 1 pulse, there we go. That's how many it'll do to get that 1 mil out, okay? And you can see, it's a bit difficult with one hand. You can see that we're showing the maximum stroke. So that's the 100% thing that we saw before. If I go and do it one more time. There it is there. Now, I'm going to change that so you can see what happens when I change it. So I've got to if I went to push these buttons now, nothing will happen because I haven't turned it off yet. So turn it off, then go back into the menu, over, enter. And I'm going to change this to 50% into that. So what that's saying now is it will only go a maximum, let's go 60 to make it go fast, only go a maximum of 60% no matter what happens. And you will see, if I press enter, and then I go and accept everything on that screen, and now of course I've got to turn the pump on, you'll see that down the bottom there, that percentage will only go to a certain amount, which will be 60. It won't go to 100 like before. So that's how you see the corresponding between the max value. Why would you want to do that? Is that you might want to make sure that, hey, I don't want this pump to overdose at all. I only want it to a certain amount. What is that certain amount? 1 mil per stroke, but that equals 1.2 litres per hour. Divide that by 60. See what's happening there? So what you don't know is behind the camera, I'm connecting the wires to make it go on and off with one hand. Yes, amazing, I know. Okay, so that's showing you that. I'll move that out of the way. There we go. Now, I'll turn that off. And I'll go into here, back into here. So, so that's 1 pulse equals 1 mil. So obviously you're going to put the desired mils in there per pulse. Now, there are 2 methods here that this pump can work in pulse. One is the method I've just shown you, how many mils per pulse, and making sure it doesn't do a maximum of X amount so that you don't overdose, but you can leave it at 100 if you like. But if I go into here, you'll see that I can change it from mils to strokes to ounces. Now, I'm going to go, so that's either mils or ounces, but if we go strokes, watch what happens when I press enter. And watch here, watch the 60. That's just changed. What that's done is gone to 100 max. So now we're doing is saying, hey, for every 1 pulse that I do, I just want you to do 1 stroke. Let's do that. If I can make these 2 connect. Oh, I haven't turned it on. Okay, 1 pulse per tap. Yep. Make sense? That's what that is. So you can either make the pump stroke, just do 1 pulse per stroke, or you can do X amount of mils per stroke. But the other cool thing that you can do with this is that you can enter, is that you can go, hey, look, let's do, I might actually want to do 2 strokes per pulse. So for every 1 pulse, give me 2 strokes. Well, in this case, I've gone 3. Let's go 3, just because that's what we've got. Enter that. Cruise back over, enter, turn it on. So I'm now going to do 1 pulse, but I should get 3 strokes. Again, doing it with one hand. You see that? Here we go. See? So in effect, what we've got is a pulse multiplier, one stroke per pulse, or a pulse multiplier, which is what it's currently on right now, or how many mils per pulse. And how do I do that again? Go back into the menu, press enter, and I would change the stroke, to mils, and you watch, this number will go back. Enter 1 mil. I want to enter that. Take it back, sorry. Let's go to 90, just because it's easy to enter that. It's on pulse, and now I've changed it so it won't do for every pulse 3 strokes. It'll basically do 90 mils. Once I get those 2 wires connected with one hand, with a maximum of 90 strokes per minute, 90%. So that's my little, in case I don't want it to overdose. So see, I'm trying to make it stay so it won't try and overdose it, but it won't do that. It won't go more than 90%. So very simply, getting around the menu, which is really, really easy, turn it off, is all you really need to do, go into here and select how many mils per stroke, per pulse you want to do. What do I want it to max out at? 100% if that's fine. Leave that alone, you won't normally need to touch that, and then press enter. Boom. And then turn it on and away you go.